Alright, bagels and baguettes, welcome back to KimchiRednecks. Today, we're doing something edumacational. So, one of the things that you will have to do if you are in Korea is you will have to spend money. And spending money in Korea generally means understanding Korean and money. So, I'm going to throw a link in the bottom for a site that has a nice breakdown on everything that I'm about to go over. But first thing you need to understand is the number systems. There are two number systems. Now, there is, I am sure, a academic and historical breakdown of what each of these are, where they came from, and how they're important. I don't know any of that. So I'm kind of work these in my head. One is the title numbers, and one is the counting numbers. And you're going to see that why that's a little oxymoronic in a minute. But if you are counting, say, small numbers of things, if you're counting, I don't know, you got rocks in your hand, you're counting rocks. You know, rock number 1, rock number 2, rock number 3. That is one system. If you are counting what I call a title of something, hey, I want a number 2 combo. That number 2 is not something that you're counting, that is like a label that you put on something. It's a title of something. Combo number 2, floor number 8, that sort of thing. That is the other counting system. That's the one that we're going to need mostly for today's things. Because when you're counting money, you're not counting items. Your money has different titles. A $1 bill is worth $1, but you call it a dollar bill, and that's its name. A $10 bill, yes, may be worth 10 $1 bills, but it has a title of $10 bill. That's kind of how the numbering for money works in Korean. So, let me scroll up here. There are some nice charts that I will throw up here on the side somewhere real quick so you guys can see them. The numbering system, I can only count to 10 in because that's, for the most part, all you ever really need. That's Anadol, Set, Net, Das, Yasit, Ilgup, Yadal, Aha, Yo. That's all you need for that one. The title numbers work in patterns, but not the same as we would think of them in the States. Because we go 1 to 10, and then 20, 25, 50, 100, and then from there, you basically go up by hundreds till you get to thousands, thousands till you get to tens of thousands, hundreds, thousands, millions, and it's kind of a standard breakdown of 10. Every 10 of something, you change the title of it so that it's easier to keep track of. Koreans did this differently. So, as far as coins, and I'm going to throw a little graphic up above my head, and if I remember the order that they're in, you've got 10, or Shipwon, which is about the same as a penny, which is easy to remember because it's the same color. Then you've got Oshipwon, which is 50 won. Baekwon, which is 100 won, which is about the same as a dime. And then Obaekwon, which is 500 won, or the same as about 50 cents. Honestly, you very rarely see Shipwon or Oshipwon. Generally, everything's going to be Baekwon or Obaekwon or above. Now, at this point, you're still moving in a fairly similar method. You got your 10s, your 50s, your 100s, your 500s. Next up, you get to your bills. The first one is going to be Chunwon, or 1,000 won, which is blue. This is why people sometimes refer to Korean bills as monopoly money, is because not only do they have different denominations, they're different colors. So it helps keep things, in one way it helps keep things organized because it's an easy visual indicator. Let me see what I got here. Oh, there's blue, there's pink, there's green. It's easy to see which one you have. If it's all green, then you got to look for numbers. So we had Chunwon. Next up, you have Ochunwon, which is the pink color. It's 5,000 won, or about $5. Next up is probably your most common one you run into. This is the green one. This is Monwon. This is where it gets weird. Koreans use Monwon as a major denomination. You go from Chun to Mon. So, if you have 1,000 won, here's the thing worth noting. If you have 1,000 won, the first one of something, you don't put the number in front of it. you just start with the denomination. If you have chun won, you have 1,000 won. If you have 2 chun won, now you've added a thing in front of it, so that's I chun won. Now that I think about it, I should probably give you those numbers. Il, I, sam, sa, o, yup, chil, pal, ku, ship. And then 10, 1 is 11, 10, 2, 2 tens is 20. Works like a lot of the European language numbering systems from there on out. So if you have 2 chun wons, then you have I chun won. The one that I showed before, the 5,000 o chun won, is 5 o chun won. Instead of being ship chun won, which would be the 10 for the 10,000, at that point you go to the next denomination, which is man. Man won is 10,000 won. So you compile the ones below it. So if you have 10,000, or so let's say you have 12,000, you need 12,000 won. You have a 10,000 and then 2 1,000s. So man, I chun won. Basically, you build backwards like that. You start with the biggest number, and you start working backwards across the number till you get to the smaller denominations. Now, at man, you start following the same thing that you would see in the coins. When you get to 10 man won, it's ship man won. 100, bek man won. 1,000, chun man won. Now, when you get above that, because if you do some quick mental math, it's not that hard to remember that it's about 1,100, well, technically it's about 1,160 or so won to the dollar, but 1,100 won to $1. Or if you want to be even more simple about it, 1,000 won to $1. The bigger your number gets, the more that's going to skew, but it's easier for mental math. So obviously, 10,000, if it's 1,000 to 1, it's going to be $10. If you do ship man won, that's 10 times that. So you're going to have basically $100. It's going to be 10 thousands, which is that 100,000? This is where, like I said, this is where it starts getting mentally confusing. The Beckman won level is, you're at like the $1,000 level. So obviously, if you go up one more from Beckman to Chunman, now you're in the $10,000 levels. This is where you're talking about buying cars or, doing like large key money. Key money's a real estate thing around here, but it's like a down payment or a deposit for like an apartment. The bigger your key money is, the less your rent is. That's a whole different argument or a whole different video. When you get above that level, the Chunman one, there is another level. Let me look it up real quick. I think it's Uk. Yeah, Uk. Uk, you're at like the $100,000 level. Now you're talking about like business deals and like bank transfer money. So I don't deal with anything in that level. The most expensive thing I have ever bought in Korea was our Santa Fe. No, it wasn't. It was our Velociter, and that was 7 million won. So that was Chilbekman won is what that was. That's the most money I've ever had to deal with in my hands at one time working here. But so those are your numbers that you have to work with. Il, I, samsa, o, yuk, chil, pal, ku, ship. So you remember those, and you can combine them together with those levels for your monies. Now, when you start getting fancy, you can combine it with the other number system for the actual counting of items. So, for example, you go to Loteria. Loteria is, for lack of a better description, Korean McDonald's. They sell burgers, they sell chicken sandwiches, and they have some other specialty items. I like them. Melissa tends to like the the actual McDonald's in Korea better, but but say you go in there and you want to order 2 number 4 combos. So you would go in there. First you say what you want. So that's going to be number 4 combo, which I believe, if I remember correctly, is going to be sapon kambi, because there's a word you put after the number to denote that it's a title of something, and then you would give the number that you want. So, du jusio, which is please. I think it's sapon. I know for 1 and 2, it's ipan ilpan. I think it stays the same for the rest of them. So I think it's sapon kambi du jusio. That's how you would ask politely for 2 number 4 combos. If you don't know how much something is, simple question, umaeo. Umaeo or umayeo. So yeah, all the time, I'll ask like somebody at street card or something. If I don't see the sign up with the prices on it, just point at something, umayeo. And that's when it comes in helpful if they tell you, manwan or manchunwan. If you hear a denomination and no number in front of it, it's the first one. Manwan, 10,000. Chunwan, 1,000. Baekwan, 100. And that gets into the weeds sometimes. If somebody tells you that it is, let's throw a few numbers out there. Iman, Samchun, Sabekwan. Just because that's going to be easy numbers because I know they are. Iman, 2 10,000s, so 20,000. Samchun, 3 1,000s, so we're at 23. And then Sabek, 400. So 23,401. That's how it works backwards through the denominations. So, like I said, I will throw a link to a nice article that's got all this broken down in it. We've got some pictures up above here of the different money, so you can see all the nice pictures of it, and some charts with basic numbers, because everybody needs numbers in Korean. So, that is your Korean edumacation for today. Like, subscribe, do the internet stuff. We'll see you around.